Hey everyone, we're continuing our look at the digestive system. Here we're going to focus on the peritoneum and the mesenteries that they form. So if you recall, peritoneum is a type of serous membrane. These digestive organs need to be protected, lubricated, so many of these larger and anterior organs are surrounded by a peritoneum, by a serous membrane. The peritoneum forms the peritoneal cavity, and the peritoneal cavity is a cavity that's within this abdominal pelvic cavity. So abdominal pelvic cavity is the larger one here, and then peritoneal cavity is what's surrounding these organs. But not every single organ here in the abdominal cavity is surrounded by peritoneal membrane. So let's take a look at what's what. So in another video we went over the retroperitoneal organs that are not covered by peritoneum. That's the acronym is SADPUCKER. So let me just go through and what is and what is not included in that. What's not included in SADPUCKER, what is surrounded by peritoneum, include the liver. So the liver is surrounded by peritoneal membrane. The stomach is covered by peritoneal membrane. This transverse colon, just the transverse colon, not ascending, not descending, transverse, and the cecum too, I guess, and the sigmoid. So cecum, transverse, sigmoid, the ones that you can see peeking out. The jejunum and the ileum, so these latter portions of the small intestines, not the duodenum, that's the D in SADPUCKER, not the duodenum. These are organs that are, I guess the spleen as well, but that's not really digestive. These are organs that are covered by the peritoneal membrane. Remember, if it's against the organ, that's called visceral peritoneum. If it's away from the organ towards the abdominal cavity lining, that's parietal peritoneum. We want to secure these organs. So one way to do that is when the peritoneum covers the organ, we want to connect that peritoneum to the next organ. So what happens is, so this liver is covered by peritoneum, right? And so is the stomach. If this is covered by peritoneum and this is covered by peritoneum, and we want the two to connect with peritoneum, now you've just got this peritoneum that's not really doing anything. So what happens is you've got peritoneum covering on this side, you've got peritoneum covering on the other side, and then in between, the peritoneum fuses together. The word for that is mesentery. Mesentery. The fused mesentery that connects the liver to the stomach, that's called the lesser omentum. Lesser because in terms of the stomach, this is the lesser curvature, and I have an image here that you can see. If I can find my mouse. Here is a diagram, sorry for the resolution or whatever you call it, but here's the liver, here's the stomach, and there's this connection here. That's the lesser omentum. Here is a, a cadaver. Here is the liver. Here is the stomach, and connecting the two, that's lesser omentum. So lesser omentum is the fused mesentery, it's fused peritoneum that connects the liver and the stomach. Lesser omentum between the liver and the stomach. Hanging off of the stomach, hanging off this greater curvature of the stomach and actually draping over and covering and protecting the intestines, it's called the greater omentum. This model doesn't show the greater omentum, so I need to refer back to our screen over here. This picture of a model shows half of the greater omentum. It's attached to the greater curvature of the stomach, and it drapes on top. It's very fatty. There's a lot of fat here. You can see in this, this cadaver, you can see the stomach right here, and it's attached to the stomach and then draping down. It's just fused peritoneum with lots of fat and blood vessels and other stuff. That's called the greater omentum. So the greater omentum connected to the stomach and draping down. Lesser omentum goes from the stomach to the liver, which would be over here. So to see it, you'd have to kind of lift up the liver a bit. Lesser omentum, greater omentum. In between the intestines, we have more mesenteries. Between the small intestines, this is known as mesentery proper. Between the small intestines, that's mesentery proper. So holding all these tracts together of the small intestines of the jejunum and ileum, that's mesentery proper. What's holding together the large intestines, now that we've removed the small intestines, it's known as mesocolon. Mesocolon. Mesocolon, you've got your standard mesocolon here. Transverse mesocolon is the mesocolon that's on the transverse part. So this is transverse mesocolon. Sigmoid mesocolon is what's in the sigmoid flexure. This is sigmoid mesocolon. So those are your different mesenteries. You have, once again, I'll go backwards. You have your mesocolon, sigmoid mesocolon, transverse, right this way, transverse mesocolon, mesentery proper, greater omentum hanging from the stomach over the intestines, and then lesser omentum connecting the stomach to the liver. These mesenteries are fused peritoneum, fused serous membrane. All right, thanks for listening, thanks for watching. Let me know if you have any questions. Take care.